Nancy Pelosi is announcing that they are finally considering adding additional stimulus checks to a larger bill that will be passed in the few weeks coming up leading to February. In the next very few weeks of February. So it's official, more stimulus checks are coming, and this is straight from congressmen and congresswomen. Emergency relief needs to be sent out to people as soon as possible. Now remember, on this channel, I always do my very best in providing you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information. If you want to know the latest news about Social Security, SSI, SSDI, RRB and VA beneficiaries, just continue watching this video. Now, Nancy Pelosi just told reporters that Democrats are continuing to add stimulus relief to a larger government funding bill. This is really great news for millions of Americans that have been anxiously waiting for more stimulus payments. But this could also complicate Republican support for the broader legislative package. So after the House Democrats' weekly meeting, Pelosi told reporters that we are looking very closely with Democratic representatives on the larger government funding bill. And it's possible for us to do another crisis relief package within that bill. So there we have it, straight from Nancy Pelosi's words. Straight from Nancy Pelosi that she wants more stimulus checks to be sent out. This will help many people right now.
Our veterans, we owe them everything. They make us the home of the brave, the land of the free. They protect our democracy, they and their families.
So there are many lawmakers that have been holding negotiations on the fourth stimulus bill. This includes bigger Democratic representatives and Vermont Senator like Patrick Leahy. Several Democratic representatives have come together in unity to send out more stimulus payments. So it's really going to be important that lawmakers reach a deal on this stimulus check very soon. After all, the crisis is just continuing to get worse. With inflation causing prices to increase significantly, more and more Americans are at risk of slipping into poverty this year. That's only if Congress does not do more to send out stimulus checks sooner. When asked about passing more crisis relief checks to Americans, well, the House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer told reporters that we are working toward that, and that it's his goal, it's his focus of the administration. The even better news is that a bipartisan group of senators is also discussing the possibility of another economic stimulus package to be approved. Democratic Representative Ben Cardin of Maryland and the Republican Senator of Mississippi held talks with stakeholders on additional relief for people that continue to be impacted by the crisis, which won't be a bad idea. After all, lawmakers reacted pretty quickly when the crisis first hit. During the former president's administration, 2 stimulus checks were authorized on a bipartisan basis. However, I know that millions of Americans feel that more help is necessary, and that's pretty much the truth. The strong demand for a fourth stimulus check is clearly demonstrated by a Change.org petition, which has now reached more than 3 million signatures. The Change.org petition was started by a Colorado restaurant owner, and they said that they're calling on Congress to support families with a $2,000 stimulus check and a $1,000 payment for kids. Thousands of people from every state in the country have said they just want Congress to send out more stimulus checks. With so many signatures, the petition requesting a fourth stimulus check is one of the most popular on the Change.org platform. Americans across the country just continue to sign it in an attempt to make their voices heard. And their voices have been heard because finally we're hearing from Nancy Pelosi and, like I said, Steny Hoyer, that a fourth stimulus check can be approved if they get the job done with President Biden. I'm really happy to hear this, everybody. Tell me in the comments down below if you are as well.
Leading on this important legislation every step of the way, and for his lifetime advocacy on behalf of our military communities. Every time our nation seeks to strengthen and expand benefits for veterans, we have listened closely to the men and women in uniform and our veterans, taking their insight and expertise into account. We continue to listen to them today to build upon our progress and appropriately honor our service. On a regular basis, we have a meeting with our veteran service organizations. The American Legion is very much a part of that, as well as other groups reflecting our involvement in other wars since World War II. And that's where we still have a few veterans from then. What's interesting about this legislation today, to me, is that, again, it sprang from listening to our men and women in uniform and our veterans as to what their needs are. That's exactly how the first GI Bill came to be. The veterans of World War I, recognizing the disadvantages that they were at after World War I, came forth with the proposal to have the GI Bill. So this was passed and signed by Franklin Roosevelt during World War II at the suggestion of veterans of World War I. During the dark days of the Second World War and after listening to the calls of the brave veterans of World War I, President Roosevelt made clear the urgent moral imperative of supporting our returning soldiers. In a message to Congress in November 1943, he said, "The members of the armed forces have been compelled to make greater economic sacrifice and every other kind of sacrifice than the rest of us, and they are entitled to definite action to help take care of their special problems." The President said that. I'm very proud that my father was in this chamber as Thomas D'Alessandro, a member of Congress from Baltimore, when he said that his brother would be lost shortly thereafter in battle leading up to the Battle of the Bulge. Less than a year later, Congress enacted the first GI Bill on an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote, marking a turning point in how our nation cares for our veterans. In doing so, we made a transformational investment in our service members, opening the doors to a college education and launching millions of families into the middle class, whether it was home ownership, so many different things. In 2008, it was my great privilege to serve as Speaker of the Congress when we took the crucial step to bring these benefits into the 21st century. With the post-9/11 GI Bill passed on a strong bipartisan vote and signed into law by President George W. Bush, we expanded the promise of a full 4-year college education to veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, and we ensured in subsequent legislation that their families could also take advantage of that benefit. And in 2017, we strengthened this law by improving benefits and closing gaps in eligibility so that we can best serve those who served our nation. Yet today, too many veterans still do not receive equal access to life-changing benefits they have earned. Over the last few decades, our valiant reservists and guardsmen have become even more integral to America's national security strategy. Our reservists often serve side by side with active duty service members, do the same jobs, and incur the same risks. And as our nation has battled the pandemic, our communities have relied on our guardsmen to help protect our nation from the deadly virus. These heroes are essential to keeping our families and our nation safe, but current law falls short of delivering the benefits they deserve. With the Guard and Reserve GI Bill Parity Act, we will ensure that every day that our